We cannot allow federal agency, one that was created for the purpose to terrorize, to function as an occupying force in our community. Real accountability starts with abolishing ICE, impeaching Kristi Noem, and rethinking how we enforce immigration policy in this country.
I have just 20 seconds. I want your thoughts. Ilhan Omar, should she be expelled from Congress? The president said possibly even the country. Looks like there's no record of her being a naturalized U.S. citizen through her father. She might have lied about married the brother. What do you think?
If she's not naturalized citizen in our country, she's ineligible to be in Congress. So yes, she should be removed.
What looked like a heated exchange about ICE was really a deeper clash over how immigration enforcement should function in America. Ilhan Omar described ICE operations as harmful to communities, while Byron Donalds brought the focus back to federal law, saying enforcement is legal, authorized by Congress, and part of maintaining the rule of law. But underneath the politics is a bigger question. Does stronger enforcement protect public trust in institutions or weaken it? That's the real divide at the center of this conversation.
ICE's operation is unlawful. I contest that. That's not true. It is perfectly lawful, isn't it?
Rep. Omar is delusional. I don't know what the hell she's talking about. First of all, ICE has a legal mandate from the federal government because deporting illegal aliens is legal in America. President Trump is following the law, unlike President Biden, who was flouting federal immigration law. That's number one. Number two, you do not have the ability or the right to impede law enforcement, whether that's local law enforcement, state law enforcement, or federal law enforcement, from carrying out their duty under the law. You don't have the ability to do that. Listen, nobody wanted to see this woman killed yesterday. But the fact of the matter is that she turned her vehicle directly at a law enforcement official, and any law enforcement official is trained to defend themselves. And that doesn't also discount the fact that in the state of Minnesota, the governor, the mayor, and other elected officials have been fomenting protests against ICE officials. That's why these ICE officers are having to wear masks, because they don't want their photos taken and them to be doxxed on social media, have their families now be harassed, have their children be harassed. They're trying to protect their identities so their families are safe while they're carrying out the mission given to them by Donald Trump, who has a political mandate to deport criminal illegal aliens. Rep. Omar is delusional. So is the mayor of Minneapolis. So is the governor of Minnesota. They are wrong. President Trump is right. ICE will continue the mission. That's where this is going to go.
Tell us how you really feel. Congressman Byron Donalds, good stuff. Thanks very much for joining us, Congressman. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, can I just make a parliamentary inquiry then? Are we not to make points of order on either side during
You keep speaking about no evidence. Why don't you all just listen and
I'm trying to introduce evidence.
You've already had your share of evidence.
Are you
now,
admitting
Mr. Donalds, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Dubinsky, I want to come to you quickly. A lot of talk about evidence. On the screens in the room, we have an organizational chart from the IRS investigative team that was looking into the business practices of Hunter Biden and his associates. This org chart is from 2014. Now, Mr. Dubinsky, when my former life, I was in community banking, and I'm comfortable with looking at organizational charts. When I first saw this chart, the first thing I thought about was a real estate holding company or a developer, and this is not to demean developers in the great east state of America, but developers typically have multiple companies that float with various business interests and business lines. But the funny thing is that in the business dealings of Hunter Biden, there is no real estate. None at all. So, Mr. Dubinsky, in your professional experience, looking at this organizational chart of business structure, what do you see here?
I see a very complicated structure of entities that are interrelated and would give me concern. If I were an investigator, I would want to know what's going on in these entities, who's behind them, how's the money moving between them, and what is the substance of the transactions? What's really going on here?
Mr. Dubinsky, do you think it's in the interest of this committee that is now in an inquiry phase to actually find out all of the flow of money between these entities and what the purpose was?
Absolutely.
Next slide, please. For my colleagues on the other side, we're going to start talking evidence now. This is now a slide of the organizational chart of the Hunter Biden business companies and with associates from 2018, from the same IRS investigators who broke down the business structure in 2014. Does this slide cause you the same concern, Mr. Dubinsky?
Yes, it does.
Okay, now let's talk about some more. Actually, one point I want to make on this. Ladies and gentlemen, and I know it's kind of small, so I would love to I will submit all this for the record. I would love my colleagues on the other side to see this. In 2014, one of the key owners was Devin Archer, who did testify and was under deposition under oath by the Oversight Committee. In 2018, Devin Archer is no longer listed, but his wife, Krista Archer, is now listed. Mr. Dubinsky, when you see a situation where ownership interest moves from one spouse to the other, is that a concern of some level of fraud potentially?
I would call it a red flag. That's something I would look at and again, try to get to the bottom of what happened there. Was it just transferred? Was there money behind it? What was going on? Okay, thank you. Next slide. Now, this is to a text message. This is a text message between, it's going to Naomi Biden. That's what this one is. Hold on, let me get my stuff back. There we go. Sorry. This is the WhatsApp text message between Jim Biden and Hunter Biden. In this text message, it clearly says, anyway, we can talk later, but you've been drawn into something purely for the purpose of protecting Dad. This is between Hunter Biden and Jim Biden. Last time I checked, the father of Jim Biden and Joe Biden is now passed away. So I'm assuming this is Hunter Biden saying to Jim Biden, the president's brother, that you've been brought in this for the sole purpose of protecting Dad. Miss O'Connor, do you think that this text message would lead this committee to get further information about the business dealings of Hunter Biden and how that actually links to Jim Biden, the president's brother, and why they are so concerned with protecting Dad, a.k.a. Joe Biden, a.k.a. the President of the United States?
Yes.
Thank you. Next slide, please. This is a text message between Hunter Biden and Naomi Biden. And this one is a famous one. Everybody knows this one. This is a famous one that says, I hope you all do what I did and pay for everything for this entire family for 30 years. It's really hard. But don't worry, unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half your salary. Mr. Dubinsky, if you saw a text message like this in a potential money laundering operation or a potential pay-for-play operation, would you be looking for information related to money going from son to father?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Thank you. Next slide. Oh, this is a fun one. Ladies and gentlemen, this one is from 2018. This is about 4 months before Joe Biden launched his campaign for president of the United States, December 2018. The highlight is, this is a text message between Jim Biden and Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden was in a bad way, by the way. He was really strung out. He lost a bunch of money. He needed help. Jim Biden says, this can work. You need a safe harbor. I can work with your father alone. It'll probably take several months and everybody can read the text. Ms. O'Connor, Mr. Dubinsky, if you saw a text message like this between the president's brother and the president's son, wouldn't you be concerned about them trying to give plausible deniability for the president of the United States to not have any knowledge of said business dealings?
It's worth.
Gentleman's time's expired, but please answer the question.
It's worth investigating.
Mr. Dubinsky?
I would agree. I would investigate this.
I yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. Before I recognize Mr. Christian Morte, Mr. Goldman, I will give you an opportunity to quickly recognize you for your point of order.
What made this exchange stand out wasn't just the disagreement over ICE. It was the completely different way both sides view immigration enforcement in America. Ilhan Omar focused on the idea that aggressive federal operations can damage trust inside communities and create fear around immigration policy. Byron Donalds responded by shifting the discussion back to legality and institutional authority, centering his point on the idea that immigration laws only function if they are enforced consistently. And that's where the conversation started to widen, because the issue was no longer just about ICE operations. It became a broader question about what role federal enforcement should play in maintaining borders, public order, and confidence in institutions. Donalds also introduced another dimension by highlighting the pressure ICE officers face, including concerns about threats and harassment directed at agents and their families. The emphasis there was on the idea that regardless of political disagreement, law enforcement personnel carrying out legal duties still require protection and stability to do their work effectively. At the same time, there is a competing concern that enforcement practices must remain accountable, proportionate, and transparent, especially when they directly affect communities and civil trust in government institutions. So the real divide here is not about whether immigration laws exist, but about how they should be enforced and how to balance security with public trust. The discussion then moved toward the Hunter Biden investigation, where attention was placed on financial networks, business structures, and text communications involving politically connected family members. The focus was not on conclusions, but on whether these relationships and transactions merit deeper scrutiny through oversight processes. And that connects both parts of the exchange. Across both topics, the framing consistently revolves around institutions, enforcement, and accountability rather than emotional or symbolic language. That's why this moment resonated. It reflects a larger national split over how government authority should operate, how institutions maintain legitimacy, and where the line should be drawn between enforcement strength and public trust.